You know what's crazy? Right now, someone out there is missing out on their dream job because of something that happened 5 years ago. Another person is pushing away true love because they're still carrying baggage from their last relationship. And thousands of folks are walking around with their heads down, letting their past write their future. But today, right here, right now, we're gonna change that. We're diving deep into the 8 attitudes that scream, "I'm still stuck in my past." And I'm telling you, by the end of this video, you'll have the tools to break free. Listen up, because this might be the most important message you hear today. Your past is like a movie that's already been filmed. You can't change a single scene. But here's the thing, you're not just watching this movie, you're living it. And some of you are hitting replay on those painful scenes over and over again. We've got to stop that, and I'm going to show you exactly how. The first attitude that gives away someone marked by their past is what I call the permanent victim mentality. These folks walk around with an invisible sign that says, "Life happened to me." They've turned their wounds into their identity. Every conversation somehow circles back to that one time they got hurt, that one person who did them wrong, that one opportunity they missed. They're so busy looking in the rearview mirror, they can't see the open road ahead. Think about it. We all know someone like this. Maybe it's a family member who brings up the same old story at every gathering. Maybe it's a friend who can't move past their divorce from 3 years ago. Or maybe, and this is where it gets real, maybe it's you. So here's what you need to understand. Being a victim is a choice you make every morning when you wake up. The past happened to you, but what happens next is up to you. The real kicker? These folks don't just hold on to their past. They let it become their excuse for not building a future. Every time an opportunity comes knocking, they've got a story ready about why they can't answer the door. "I tried that before and failed. People always let me down. Nothing ever works out for me." They've turned their history into handcuffs, and they're carrying around the key without even knowing it. The second attitude is what I call the comparison prison. These individuals are masters at comparing their worst moments to everyone else's highlight reels. They scroll through social media, looking at their old classmates' success stories, and instead of feeling inspired, they're thinking, "That could have been me if only." They're so busy measuring their life against their past expectations that they can't appreciate their present progress or see their future potential. They've created a mental prison where every memory becomes a bar holding them back. Every time someone in their circle achieves something great, these folks immediately dive into their archive of what-ifs. They remember that business they could have started, that degree they could have finished, or that relationship they could have saved. Instead of using others' success as motivation, they use it as ammunition against themselves, firing shots of regret that keep them paralyzed in their past decisions and missed opportunities. Let's talk about attitude number 3, the emotional time traveler. These people might be physically present in 2024, but emotionally, they're stuck in whatever year hurt them the most. You can spot them by how they approach new relationships, romantic or professional. They're not actually meeting new people. They're meeting their past fears wearing new faces. Every new boss becomes that authority figure who once betrayed their trust. Every potential partner gets compared to the ex who broke their heart. Their conversations are filled with phrases like, "This always happens to me," or "I knew this would end badly." They're not responding to what's actually happening. They're reacting to old scripts playing in their heads. It's like they're trying to drive forward while keeping both eyes glued to the rearview mirror. And we all know what happens when you drive that way. You're gonna crash into what's right in front of you. The fourth attitude is the emotional fortress builder. These individuals have constructed walls so high and thick around their hearts that even good opportunities bounce right off. They've mastered the art of keeping people at arm's length, convinced that if they never let anyone in, they'll never get hurt again. They mistake isolation for independence, believing that their fortress of solitude is actually a palace of protection. Every smile is guarded, every friendship is surface level, and every opportunity for connection is met with silent suspicion. These fortress builders have turned self-protection into self-imprisonment. Their past experiences have become the architect of their present limitations, designing rooms of regret and corridors of missed connections. While they might feel safe within their emotional fortress, they don't realize they've become the guard of their own prison, keeping out not just the bad, but all the good life has to offer. Moving on to attitude number 5, the what-if wanderer. These people have turned questioning the past into an Olympic sport. They spend countless hours replaying old scenarios with different endings, living in a parallel universe of possibilities that never were. Their minds are like time machines stuck in reverse, constantly traveling back to crossroads moments, wondering what life would be like if they had taken a different path. They've become experts at writing alternate endings to chapters that have already closed. The what-if wanderers have convinced themselves that understanding the past will somehow change their present. They dissect every decision, every relationship, every career move that didn't work out, looking for answers that won't change anything. While everyone else is writing new chapters in their lives, these folks are still editing old ones, trapped in a cycle of endless revision that never leads to a new edition of their story. The sixth attitude is the self-sabotage specialist. These individuals have mastered the art of pulling the emergency brake just when success is within reach. The moment things start going well, a promising relationship, a career advancement, or a personal achievement, they find creative ways to derail their progress. It's as if they're following an old script that says they don't deserve good things, so they unconsciously create situations that confirm this belief. They're like architects of their own disappointment, building success only to tear it down before anyone else can. Deep down, these specialists in self-sabotage are actually protecting themselves from what they fear most: repeating past pain. They've convinced themselves that if they're the ones causing their failures, somehow it hurts less. The problem is, they're so busy protecting themselves from theoretical future pain that they're actively creating real present pain. They're fighting battles with ghosts from their past, while sacrificing the victories of their present. Attitude number 7 reveals the permission seeker. These folks are still living their lives as if they need approval from people who hurt them in the past. They carry around an invisible panel of judges in their heads, made up of critical ex-partners, disapproving former bosses, or unsupportive family members. Before making any decision, they run it through this imaginary committee of past critics. They're essentially letting people who aren't even in their lives anymore cast votes on their future. These permission seekers have surrendered their personal power to the very people who proved they shouldn't have it. They're still trying to prove their worth to people who couldn't see it, still seeking validation from voices that have long since fallen silent. Every decision becomes a referendum on past disapproval. Every achievement is measured against old criticisms. They're living their present life through the lens of past rejection, constantly seeking approval from ghosts who can't give it. The eighth and final attitude is the growth denier. These individuals have turned their past wounds into permanent disabilities. They wear their traumas like badges that exempt them from ever having to change or evolve. When faced with opportunities for growth, they quickly respond with, "That's just who I am," or "I can't change. This is how life made me." They've confused their coping mechanisms with their character, treating temporary shelters as permanent homes. They're using their past as a permanent excuse to avoid the discomfort of growth. The growth deniers have mastered the art of staying exactly where they are while complaining about their view. They've convinced themselves that their past experiences have carved them in stone, forgetting that humans are more like clay, always capable of being reshaped. They confuse healing with betraying their past self, so they choose to remain broken, rather than put in the work to become whole again. Now here's the truth bomb you've been waiting for. These 8 attitudes, they're not your destiny. They're just your current situation. And situations can change the moment you decide to change them. Your past might explain why you started where you did, but it doesn't dictate where you're going. The choice is yours. Will you keep letting yesterday's shadows darken tomorrow's sunshine, or are you ready to step into the light? Listen, I know this message hit home for some of you. Maybe you recognized yourself in one of these attitudes, maybe in all of them. But here's what I want you to understand. Recognition is the first step to transformation. You're not watching this video by accident. This is your wake-up call, your permission slip to break free from these patterns that have been holding you hostage. Before you go, if this message resonated with you, if you felt that spark of recognition and hope, don't let it fade away. Hit that subscribe button right now. Why? Because this channel is your weekly dose of truth, your reminder that you're not alone in this journey, and your guide to breaking free from these limiting patterns. Click that notification bell too, because I promise you, every video we drop here is designed to help you write a new story, one where your past is just a chapter, not the whole book. Subscribe now, join our community of forward thinkers, and let's make sure your future is written by your potential, not your past. Remember, your story isn't over. It's just getting to the good part.